The candidates for November are set.
I know Donald Trump's type.
Between now and Election Day,
we are not going back.
A campaign season unfolding faster.
Kamala Harris is not getting a promotion
Than any in recent history.
Make America great again.
Follow it all with new episodes every weekday on the NPR Politics Podcast.
Thank you for listening to another podcast of Mother's War on Violence. I'm your host, Yolanda Wallace, and today we have a topic that is sometimes it can be a challenge for families, and sometimes it can end up in a fatality. But in today's podcast episode, we are going to have a survivor. So I'd like to introduce to you. Her name is Carol Wallace, and I'll let her tell you just a little bit about herself. Thank you.
All right. Well, good morning, and thank you for having me on the podcast today. My name is Carol Wallace. I am a native of Peoria, born and raised, and I am currently 55 years old, but when I was 47 years old, I got the diagnosis that I had cancer, breast cancer, which is part of why we're here today. But so during that time, I was working full time. I think I may have been a grandmother, but yes, once you get that diagnosis, your life shifts because you begin a journey.
But you have a whole career. So how do you manage and juggle the lifestyle of being a mother, a wife, a grandmother, and then this, and work?
Right. For at least for my story, I'm very grateful. When I got the diagnosis, my company was extremely supportive. And I had been with the company 22 years at the time. It's been 30 now, but they were extremely supportive. And by the time I gave them notice that I had received the diagnosis and my doctor wanted to get started right away, I came off work probably 3 weeks later, and knowing that I would be off for an extended amount of time. But again, I'm fortunate. I could have worked a little bit while I went through treatment, but my company was 100% supportive of me going on leave. And I was on a paid leave, which that was a fortunate thing. I know that's not always the case for everyone, but while I was going through treatment, I was on a paid leave. And my family, extremely supportive, my church family, my friends. I was surrounded with a lot of support. So I basically just had to walk out the journey. But it's a lot, and I think I got a lot of good advice from different people along the way, and really, you can't get ahead of it. Just take it day by day and walk out your journey. And
so where were some of the signs that led you to believe, or, that prompted you, I need to go have this checked out?
That's a great question. For me, like I said, I was 47, and I probably started getting annual mammograms in my 40s. But for whatever reason, I had missed. It had been about a year going on a year and a half. And for me, I just felt like, you just get that feeling. It's like, I need to get that scheduled. And I don't know if I knew, but I did feel like something was different. I didn't feel anything different necessarily in my body, but just something in my spirit was telling me, you need to go and get that. So I wasn't shocked when you get that. For those women who have had their annual mammograms, you hope you don't get the call back.
Right.
Which doesn't necessarily mean something bad, but they want to take more pictures to take a closer look. And thank goodness I already had a history of mammograms leading up to there, because basically they're just comparing to see what's changed since your last mammogram. And again, for me, it had been a year and a half. So I got the call back pretty much a week later, and which was probably a diagnostic mammogram where they just take more in-depth images and different things. And then I followed up and we did a biopsy, which probably like within another week. And the biopsy was on a Thursday, and I'll remember I was sitting at work in my office, and I got the call from them, and it had come back on Friday that, yes, it was indeed cancer, the cells.
Okay. And you said you were in your late 40s. When did you start doing mammograms?
I think I may have started right around 40.
Around 40?
Yeah, I really did.
Okay, so you would say that early detection is probably best when trying to, early prevention, going to get your mammograms on a regular basis after 40 is very...
Yes, and in some cases, depending on your family history, and hopefully if your insurance, if there's a need, you may have to start sooner. That wouldn't hurt. It just depends on your family history. The sooner you start and you start having something to compare to, the better. And for me, I'm just grateful that I didn't wait longer, because I pretty much was having them every year, but I waited about a year and a half. And from the last one to a year and a half, it wasn't, they didn't see anything. I didn't feel anything unusual. So just between that year and a half, it had grown to the point where it was detectable on film. And, I still didn't feel it, but that you could see it. And if she had to stage it, she said she probably would have staged it around 3. So
that was
cancer can grow fast. It's always growing, but, prayerfully by the time it gets to the point where it's detected, it's caught so it can get treated.
Yeah, but weren't you emotionally distraught? Did it make, how did that make you feel? What was that like? I can only imagine, because I don't know, and being a woman, and if anything is flawed with our bodies, sometimes that makes it wears on our self-esteem. But then, what was your feelings about that? That are normal. These things are normal with
it is normal.
Anyone who has experienced.
Again, I think with the support system, and I just think myself personally, when I got it, it's like, wow. I think I'm pretty much a strong individual anyway, and just kind of have a way of managing different things as they hit me. Maybe because I am a manager, I don't know, but stress. But stress can be a killer. So I was already aware of that. But somewhere deep inside, I really didn't feel like this was going to be a death sentence. I just felt like, unfortunately, this was something I was going to have to walk out.
Right.
Which was, I'm grateful, was the case. And just not trying to get ahead of it and worry about things, the unknowns. There was enough that I did know
that
about.
You did know, right.
So I just tried to stay in the moment and walk it out. And I had my ups and downs, but I try not to stay down too long, because there was too much. Once you're walking through that journey, there's so many appointments, there's so many different things you can be focused on, and taking care of yourself and your family, still being there for your husband, your children.
Right.
So I just try not to overly allow myself to stay in any sad or stressful position, state of mind, because it can affect you. You're trying to stay healthy so you can keep on your schedule for treatments. That's very important. And but it is real. I think too, here in Peoria at least, I feel like, I'm sure it's still the case, there's so much support systems. If you do feel like you're going through the blues,
there's lots of resources.
There's so many resources. Again, I'm a person of faith. My church family, my family, we're all pretty close. So I had support around and friends all the time. If I needed a pep talk.
Your in-laws.
In-laws, yes. So if I needed a pep talk, there was always someone there. And so, yes. So I just tried to shift my focus. My goal, I already knew if I stayed on schedule, my goal was always to stay on schedule so I can get back to work, because I left work August 6th of 2016, and I didn't go back to work till June of 2017. So I was off like 10 months.
Oh, okay.
It was a long time. Because then when I went back, and then I had another surgery and had to be off again while I was healing. So really, for my complete cycle, I didn't go back to work full time. It didn't leave again until December of 2017. So
Okay,
yeah,
and
over almost a year. Yeah, it was over a year later.
Now, talk about the treatments. What about the treatments? You know, we live in a day and time where everybody's kind of, you know, finicky about the different medications and stuff that they have, and if they would increase cancer risk or if they would, you know. And
That's a great question.
Okay.
As far as, I would say, listen to your doctors.
Okay.
And I know cancer is a big word, but it's a big
Yes.
umbrella. There's so many different types of cancers. And when you listen to your friend or know someone else, you can't compare their story to yours because it's very, treatment is personalized. Your cancer is unique to you. It doesn't act the same in everyone's bodies. All of our medical histories are different. So it's very hard to do, but you can't compare someone else's journey to yours. You just have to stay and listen to your doctors. And I do feel if you listen to your doctors' advice and they work with you, because you do have a choice in your treatment.
Right.
Some people aren't willing, and there may be reasons why they don't want to do certain things or have certain types. You know, maybe they don't want to go through chemo because they fear of the hair loss, or or they don't want to do radiation, or maybe radiation isn't even, maybe it's best, but it's not an option because maybe they've already had radiation for some other type of procedure. So it's a lot of different things that go in. I would say try not to compare yourself to others. Your healing, your treatment, anything, everything you're going through is going to be unique to you. And with your doctors, I think you can always make the best decisions that you feel comfortable with, that as well is best for you and your family. But it's very personal. I think you just have to figure out what's best for you based on their input.
Oh, okay. Well, good. That is so good. I'm glad that you're able to come in our studio and share your experience. Oftentimes, you know, I've seen some women who are ashamed of the story of the journey, but these journeys, they're what makes us stronger. We tend to find purpose through our pain sometimes.
Correct.
And I know you have daughters and probably have, you know, thoughts and concerns just being a mother, you know.
Yes.
And what would you tell, what do you tell your daughters, and what would you tell our listening audiences about some preventative things that they can do?
I would say definitely, at least with my girls for sure, they know what I've gone through. And I know my oldest daughter, she's already had a mammogram. I don't know if she's had more than one, but because of my situation, she was able to get one earlier approved by her insurance company because it was in the family. So again, I say, if you have concerns, that's something you should talk about with your doctor. And if necessary, you may need to start mammograms before 40.
Yeah.
They're fully aware, and they stay on top of their annual appointments. And I don't think, as hard as it is, try not to worry about something until you have something to worry about. You use common sense and do all your preventive care, but beyond that, just live. Keep living every day. And I know with me, one of my nurses, because at least for my story, I don't know about other women, but after you've gone through the journey and you're on the other side, it is hard not to worry. And every little thing you think, you don't want to miss it. You know the importance. So, and she was just told me at some point, you know, Carol, just live.
Wow.
Because the good news is when I was worrying about I I was feeling a little something here. She said, everything came back fine, but you have to get to the point where you don't worry about every little thing that you're going to be under attack or is coming back. You just got to live every day, because it's a blessing.
Right.
That, at least for my journey, it ended well, where, I'm healthy and and just live every day. And I was trying to even remember that when I was going through the process. But even on the other side, after you got a good report, you can't over worry. And again, that's bringing on unnecessary stress on your body. So
Good. Well, that's good to know. I did a little research about this just because I wanted to. I've heard about things about survivors of breast cancer, and I've heard about, and worked with people when I was working in hospice with the fatality. And the studies in Mayo Clinic has said in their research is that women who are under 40 have a higher risk of fatality than the ones that are over. So I think the first thing that I think is good to suggest is that you can start off by doing your self-examinations at home already, and that will help you even identify or feel that there's something wrong. There's a lump there that feels uncomfortable, and or there may be some pain there, or they said the signs and symptoms that something may be wrong. You might have peeling of the breasts. You might have discoloration, or there might be something that looks different about the nipple, or it might be turned in. And there's just so much good information about what to look for.
I just want to comment on what you were saying, because along with the women I've met along the way, and that is so true. At a minimal, if you're not doing the self-checks, at least be sure you're getting your annual mammograms.
Right.
But if you're definitely seeing and feeling something, don't be afraid. Go to the doctor. The sooner you can get into treatment and seeing what your options are, the better. So often, many I know have shared. They do. They regret that when their nipples were leaking, or like their skin colored. There was other visible signs that they didn't respond. But fear, fear of the unknown, and they just wasn't ready to face whatever whatever the doctors would be saying per se. But I would just encourage them, get a friend, get a partner, go ahead and make that doctor's appointment if you have any reason to fear, because their treatment has come so far. There's so much out there, and so many clinicals. But the sooner the sooner you can get under a doctor's care, the more hope you can have. And there's a great chance you can be a survivor. And as that one statistic you were stating, I'm aware of some too, younger than 40, who are no longer with us, unfortunately. Especially in black women, as you say. And they were black women.
Yeah, I also have saw a study too that some Asian women, it's higher in their nationality of survival with that. So it is good to do early detection so we can find out what it is, because the whole mammogram thing. It just I'm just not a fan of it. I can't wait.
They haven't come up with a better way of
doing it.
No, it's going to be the smash.
So it's a smash, and it's very uncomfortable. And I can't wait till they find something else that they're doing to test and to check and all that kind of stuff. But looking at you here today, it just makes me think that the preventative thing is so important, because if we don't do that, then I mean, almost anything can happen. It's kind of like taking control of what you can control in your own life.
Exactly.
You know.
So as uncomfortable as that machine
Yeah,
is,
it is.
it's the best resource,
Yes.
because by the time you can feel it, I mean,
Did it hurt?
no, what?
It was the feeling of it that,
No,
when they found things, didn't feel nothing.
no. And that's the thing. If you're waiting for a feeling, by the
That
time you
ain't-
get diagnosed, your
Have
options might be fewer.
metastasized.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Exactly, because it's constantly growing, and sometimes it slows down in growth. Sometimes it speeds up. It's different. The cancer cells can vary in so many different ways, and the way it grows in your body can change. So the
Wow.
sooner you can get ahead of it and be aware of it, the better. But really, if you're waiting, is great. And I'm not discounting self-exams, but by the time you can feel it, it's probably really then grown.
Wow.
A lot.
Well, and then the last thing I want to cover, is it only that women can get it? It's men. I seen the numbers with Mayo. It's 1 out of 1,000 men that can get it, and maybe 8 out of 12 women that can get it.
That is true. And I don't know any men per se personally,
Right.
but I've seen it covered. And even going through treatment, you do occasionally see men.
Yeah, and the strange thing about this breast cancer is that it doesn't matter what color you are.
Nope.
It don't matter how tall or small you are.
Nope.
I don't. Would my diet change those things?
There's been healthy people with
I
cancer
know it. That's
who
what
are
I'm saying.
vegetarians or vegans, or they walk, 10 miles
Right.
a day.
This-
It really, and I mean, I've asked that question with the doctors too. And you can have someone in the family or no one in your family. Cancer just can attack anyone.
Yeah.
Anyone is subject to being
Yeah.
attacked by cancer.
Anywhere.
And
On the body,
many
right.
times cancer is growing in your body, but it takes it can take a long time before it multiplies to the point where it's detected. But there are cancer cells in our bodies that we're just unaware of.
Right. Right.
And it doesn't. Anyone is subject to being a cancer patient.
Okay, and then I found on the Illinois Cancer Society website that they have a quiz that you can actually fill out to ask certain questions and stuff if it may be a concern to any of our listeners. I thank you again for joining us today on our our breast cancer awareness survivor podcast today. And I hope that our listening audience got something out of it. I hope that it is encouraging. It is one of the things that we need to talk about more, as sometimes it feels uncomfortable because we're talking about breasts, we're talking about, but these things are very important to, the rest of our lives. And we have to, tear down that stronghold by even mentioning it and talking about it and how important it is to do your preventative measures and get checked and do your self-examinations. And thank you again. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
When you were speaking, I just want to add, if you are fearful, this cancer, it's a huge sisterhood and brotherhood, because men do get it. Find you someone that you know or trust, or just if you come to, I found being a survivor, people, when they get that initial diagnosis, they are comforted by being able to talk to someone who's already, gone ahead of them. So I would just encourage someone, if you're fearful, find someone that you know, or be open to being connected to someone who is a survivor, who can reassure you and answer your questions and help you walk out your journey. Because plenty of people out there, and we're all willing to support each other.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.